So welcome to this week's Ultimate Health Clinic Facebook Live and the first Facebook Live of 2018, and also the last few Facebook Lives at the end of last year, I think, were missed for various reasons. So Happy New Year. I know it's that time of year where everyone, well not everyone, but a lot of people are full of New Year's resolutions and goals, and obviously if CFS is part of your life, then a lot of your goals are going to exist around that. And equally, a lot of people have had many experiences in the past of setting goals on the recovery path that have led to doing too much activity and having a crash and relapse. And it can almost get to the point where we almost feel allergic to the idea of setting any kind of goals, because we don't want to have a repeat of the experience of setting goals, taking on too much, and then crashing. So equally, this time of year can be a good opportunity to recommit to things that we know are helpful and supportive and useful on the recovery path. So I thought I'd do just a short Facebook Live to kick the year off to try and balance this piece. How can you set some goals and have some New Year's resolutions and have a sense of being proactive in terms of the year ahead? But how do you do that in such a way which is supporting your recovery process, as opposed to something which is just a kind of chance to run and repeat old patterns? So most of what I think I'm going to say in this video, and I'm staying with my plan of trying to keep these videos fairly short and succinct, most of what I'm going to say, I'm sure I've said previously in other Facebook Lives. So in some ways, this is just a chance to pull those pieces together and put it in a specific video for this time of year. So the first thing is obviously being realistic in terms of the goals that you're setting, and being very mindful of goals being set from the perspective of the achiever pattern. So the achiever pattern is inevitably that you want to be further ahead than where you are, and many of us got sick in the first place because of our remarkable capacity to set goals and drive and achieve. And so we want to make sure that goals you are setting, they're your goals, they're not the goals of your achiever of what you think you should be doing and where you think you should be. And they're sensible. They're actually based on tangible, practical steps from where you are to where you want to be, not I want to be here and I'm just going to kind of force things to happen to get there. Also, having goals around activity levels, like I want to be able to do this much more at this particular point in time. Sure, those goals can be appropriate at stage 3 of recovery, last stage of stage 2 of recovery. Stage 1 to first part of stage 2 can often be much less helpful. And so it's better to have goals around your mindset, goals around things that you're going to do which are certainly within your capacity, but perhaps you forget to do or you're less consistent, like taking supplements, doing things like meditation, those kind of things. And if you have goals around your mindset and your habits, that feels much more in your control. And so it's like you want to feel that you whatever happens in how you feel in terms of energy, you still feel you're winning in terms of your capacity to stick to your goals. It's much better to set goals that you know you can achieve and sustain, to build your sense of capacity and confidence to then stretch your goals a little bit further down the line, than it is to start with your goals further ahead of where you are, to then crash and relapse and then have to rein the whole thing back in. It's like set goals that help you feel like you're winning, rather than set goals that are almost inevitably setting things up for failure. Remembering that, again, I've said this many times in these Facebook Lives, but you can't say it too many times, that recovery is built over time. I am not a fan of overnight recoveries which are not built on real substance, because what goes up in a way which is unsupported must come back down again. Now, sometimes you just find the right piece at the right time in the right way and you get a dramatic improvement in a short period of time. And when that happens, that's great if it's built on substance. But what can also happen is we've been building up our capacity, our energy reserves, we've kind of got more resilience, and we can sustain a push, but the push isn't recovery. The push is just a push. So we want it to be built over time. We want it to be real. We want it to have substance underneath it. But equally, if we're not setting goals around activity level and how much we're going to do, but we are setting goals around mindsets, some of those mindset goals can be things around commitment and discipline. Now, often, one of the hardest things to commit to and be disciplined around can be resting. So ironically, sometimes the goal that I might encourage someone to be setting is a goal around doing less, not more. So if your tendency is to always overdo it, that might end up being the goal, which is the kind of opposite of what people tend to think about when they think about setting goals. If you're setting goals around discipline, it may be discipline to do less. It may be discipline to do things which are just easy to forget or things that are kind of tedious. And, it's helpful to remember that often any significant accomplishment in life, and by the way, recovery from ME, CFS, fibromyalgia is one of, I think people that I know that have been through that and recovered will say it's the most significant accomplishment of their life, or certainly one of the most. Anything that's significant like that is made up of many, 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 many different building blocks and pieces. And it takes commitment and discipline to stay with those building blocks and pieces when they can be tedious, when they can be dull, when they can feel repetitive. Resting when we feel like all we do is resting, and having to work with calming our mind down and maladaptive stress response and all those kind of things that can be happening, it takes real discipline. It takes real commitment, takes patience, it takes diligence. And then we can feel that we're doing it from a kind of pushing achiever place and having the discipline to rein that back. That is a significant development in our capacity, which takes practice to do that. So goals around mindset, goals around using of tools and techniques, goals of taking supplements that have been recommended, all of that stuff is, I would suggest, the stuff to set goals around. Set goals which are achievable so you achieve them, so you can stretch your goals, not stretch yourself from the start and then fail and then just feel like you're giving up. And remember that discipline and patience and listening to your body, these are all capacities that you build. And it's like when you go to the muscle, a healthy, well person goes to the muscle and goes to the gym and lifts weights to build muscle. But the muscle is built when they go outside of their comfort zone. When they stretch, effectively they tear the muscle or rip the muscle, that's the expression rip, and the muscle builds stronger again. So being out of our comfort zone is where we grow, but we don't have to push ourselves so far out of our comfort zone that it puts strain on our system. To recognize that when you're recovering from ME/CFS, there's plenty of opportunities in daily life where you're outside of your comfort zone. Growth is already happening. It's how to be conscious and sensible in the application of where you put your attention and where you put your focus. So just seeing a few questions and comments. If anyone wants to post some questions, we've got a few minutes. I'm happy if they come up. I'm happy to answer them. Michelle's saying, will doing Slimming World, eating natural foods help my fibromyalgia? I don't know the Slimming World program, so I can't comment on that. Eating natural foods often will help. I would always recommend, there's also a follow-up question about does taking vitamins make a difference? Randomly taking vitamins is generally not always that constructive and can get very expensive. It's much better to take things that you know through testing your body actually needs. Otherwise, you're just putting a load of stuff in your body that you have no idea what it's actually doing. Tracy says the hardest thing to do is to schedule rest, no time. it's always an irony when we are suffering from a severe chronic illness of which one of the primary symptoms is often fatigue, and the primary resolution of fatigue is through quality rest, that we struggle to find the time to rest. And lots of people struggle with that. And that's a great example of being disciplined and remembering the things that your body needs to support it, and being consistent in the process of doing those things to build that recovery over time. That's often challenging, but it's also crucial and important. I'm not seeing any other questions right now. What I would say is, I think I did not far off 50 Facebook Lives last year. I know I missed a few weeks where I was away and a few weeks at the end, so there must have been 45 or so Facebook Lives last year. I would I'd highly benefit from you guys sending suggestions of things you'd like to be covered. So topics, questions, you can either email my assistant Grace, which is just grace@theoptimalhealthclinic.com. You can also comment here. And yeah, let me know things you'd like covered this year. I'm thinking about experimenting with the new format on Facebook, where you can do Q&A with people. It might be interesting to bring some of you guys in with questions and do them on the Facebook Live. And indeed, I want to try doing some recovery stories in this format, in a live format, where you guys can ask questions of the people that I'm interviewing as well. I thought that might be a fun thing to try. So yeah, I'm up for one of my New Year's goals is to try and play with this format a little bit and see if we can find some other ways to make it interesting. So yeah. And just here's a few more questions. I know someone who has ME/CFS and I want to help his healing. Is there an ideal way to support or encourage? I would say, Adi, we have a significant amount of content which is freely available. There's dozens and dozens of these Facebook Lives from last year. There's hundreds of videos on our YouTube channel. There's a ton of stuff on our blog. There's a lot of stuff there, which is a good place to start in terms of getting clarity. And Andrew saying I've been in bed for 5 weeks, totally exhausted. Yeah, again, I'm obviously biased, but I would highly recommend exploring our content. Obviously there's costs involved in terms of seeing practitioners, which is prohibitive for some people. That's why we put out as much stuff as we can like this and make it freely available. So I would highly recommend investigating those materials. So thanks for watching, everyone. Same time, same place next week. Share your ideas, your thoughts, suggestions, and look forward to talking to you then. Bye-bye for now.